Now I'm going to discuss how to disassemble, again reassemble, the CZ600 trail. So the first step is that we make sure that the rifle is safe, and we do this by first removing the magazine with the button here on the side. Put the magazine on the table. Then we open the bolt, nothing in the chamber, and then we can remove the bolt by pushing down the bolt release button. So then the next step is to make sure that the safety is engaged. That means in the horizontal position. Then the next step is to turn the rifle over, use a Torx 25 screwdriver, and I can start removing the action screws. We start here with the rear screw, and then I loosen it up. Okay, take that out. We can put this on the table. Then with the front action screw, should be enough. Now we can remove the chassis of the stock. Then the next step is to remove the forend, and this is done by loosening the 3 screws here. Be careful not to loosen the action screws. 3 screws here that are on the forend. And you don't have to completely unscrew them. Maybe 2 or 3 turns until you feel that it's loose. Okay, so then I can just simply pull the forend off of the barrel. Now also inside of the forend is a spacer. The spacer, when we reassemble the rifle, is important to slide back on the barrel and make sure that the slot is on the bottom side of the action. So then when we put back the forend, we need to make sure that this pin here goes on top, and we simply put the forend back on over the spacer, and the pin goes into a slot on the top of the action itself. We make sure that everything is tight, the forend is against the action, and then I simply tighten up those same 3 screws. You don't need to go super tight on these. Torque wrench is not needed. Just hand snug is fine. Okay, that's good. Then the next step is to put the chassis back on. Now again, safety on. Okay, we're back in. Then we reinsert the action screws. The longer screw is the rear screw, the shorter screw is the front. We start by snugging up the rear screw with the screwdriver. Doesn't need to be super tight. One more check. Here we make sure everything looks like it's sitting where it's supposed to, and it is. Then I take a torque wrench set to 5 Newton meters with the Torx 25 bit, and I simply tighten the screws with the torque wrench, starting with the rear, and then the front one. Perfect. Now we can reinsert the bolt. So we push down the bolt release, reinsert the bolt about halfway, release that, wiggle the bolt until it clicks, and it already did. Perfect. And then we just simply reinsert the magazine. And that's how you disassemble and then reassemble the CZ600 trail.